sacrifice the plum tree to preserve the peach tree. Now, when I first read that kind of title of this week's episode, you can kind of assume where it's going, what's going to end up coming of it, and things of that nature. But really, this was extremely smart because they finally showed us what that secret message to Soma was originally that they actually never surfaced before. So the thing that we learned during this episode was Carmine's real purpose behind what he was doing, his actions, wasn't really kind of to disobey Soma. It wasn't to disobey the king. It wasn't to go against him. He had other plans, that there was corrupt nobles that took heed within him and his protection. And those same corrupted nobles, he wanted to get out of the kingdom. So this whole time, Carmine has had this secret plan that he would disobey and kind of like disavow the king. And he would do that in lieu of trying to get these corrupt noblemen finally out, since they were in collusion with the mercenary city or nation. And he was going to basically, get them out, then get all of the people that they hired in, take them for ransom, and kind of do like a wash when it comes to money. Basically bleed out all the noblemen's money and get that money right back by giving up the people that they hired, essentially. So he had this secret plan going, and when Soma learned of this kind of put into perspective on what he's going to do, what type of man Carmine is, and kind of what he's going to end up doing, kind of as he navigated through the different dukedoms, through Duke Vargas to Duke Carmine, right? He kind of had this idea in his head. Thankfully, it played out just like he had thought, right? So he was able to initially go through through this episode, he was able to initially go in, and we finally got in that they were able to go in and ambush Duke Vargas. And again, Duke Vargas was operating under his own choices, but he was also operating under the fact that Carmine also wasn't taking the position of the king as well. So he goes in and he invades Duke Vargas and kind of lets him know of like, you should have joined me from the start, etc. He's able to overcome him, and he's able to put like a slave chain on him, and he's able to regroup the Air Force. He also puts a slave collar on the daughter as well, on the daughter Carla, and then he's able to take off, kind of for the Duke Carmine's theme. He's able to go to the fort, and he's able to conquer Duke Carmine again because he knows what he was trying to accomplish. Duke Carmine gives up to him after putting the slave collars on all the noblemen by accomplishing his mission. And then instead of Soma going after them specifically, he makes his way down to the Amadonian forces, right? So then Carmine likes Soma at that moment even more so than before. He was like, step over this old trunk. So I was like, oh my gosh, that's such a good moment for Carmine. And I really am interested in how Carmine comes into play a little bit more once Soma's able to talk to him, and once he kind of regroups into his forces as well. And as he's doing this, Carla's finally, really catching on to what Soma's been planning all this time, and she's wowed by like, how far have you planned out this specific plan, which is, really far out that he put this plan out. Then, instead of to regroup with Juna's grandmother, the other Duke, he then makes his way, he beelines it for the capital of Amadonia, which is Van. And he does it by broadcasting through all the different, through all the kingdom that he's declaring war on Amadonia. And because of their kind of skewed view, he's coming after them specifically. So really, really awesome and really interesting episode overall, and extremely enjoyable as well. And, kind of towards the tail end of the episode, he was able to have his flags planted in the Amadonian, and the prince or the king or whatever, he fell at that point, realizing that Van had been already taken over. So as we move into next week's episode, we're going to be able to see on Soma being there in the capital, and what does that really mean for Soma, for the kingdom, and what is he going to do with the Amadonian side as well. The good thing is the princess of Amadonia has a really good head on her shoulders, and really, really, knowing what's going on, and she really likes Soma as well. So it's going to be interesting to see on how she takes over the Soma side and what fruit that will bear specifically. I think it's going to be really awesome to be able to see. Overall, though, really love this episode. Lots of things happen. Alicia tried to get Carla into his concubine. He said no because of what that meant for his perception or for his brand through the kingdom, for what they would perceive him as. I think that she will end up being one of his 8 concubines, regardless. We got to see Carmine and what he really planned, and I'm very excited to see what comes up with that. And then Duke Vargas, so Carla's dad, I'm interested to see on what he's going to end up doing with that later on. We know that ultimately they're all going to serve Soma, but it's very interesting. And the last thing I'll say on is when Alicia is talking to Duke Vargas. I really like that she was saying, like, even if my dad were to ask for the throne back, which he won't, he doesn't want him, she would combat him and say, absolutely not, Soma needs to be our king. That's how good of a job that he's doing. Also, we found out that our little dark elf girl is 50. I was like, oh my gosh, she's been in the life for 5 decades. I like how she said, I would never say this in front of Soma. Regardless, though, thank you guys so much for watching another review of how Realist Hero Built the Kingdom. Very awesome episode, very enjoyable. I love watching this every week, and I'm so sad it's going to end soon. Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below. What did you love? What did you hate about this episode? Let me know what you think about Carla joining his top 8. And we'll see you guys next week for the next episode of how Realist Hero Built the Kingdom. Peace out, friends.